Welcome to the Cool Breeze podcast, where I'm just going to be talking about whatever comes to my mind, but it's mostly going to be about music, things of that nature, what's going on in my world, what's going on in maybe the community, and definitely going to look to reach out and hit up other artists, other people in the community as well, just to get their thoughts and ideas, kind of spread the music cohesion around, see what's going on. And so I welcome. And I hope you enjoy. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'm going to get into it. My first guest, I guess, of the podcast is going to be Mark Moncrieff. We're working on a collaboration together where it's coming out 29th of September. And I'm going to chat with him, bounce some ideas, talk about things, things of that nature. So let me hit him up over here.
That's better. I can hear you now. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. All good. All good. Nice to see you.
All right, you as well, man. You as well. Nice to meet you, Mr. Mark.
Yeah, same to yourself. Thank you, Donovan.
Yeah, so I just really wanted to talk to you about like what we got going on and maybe like what's brewing in your world and what's brewing in my world and what we got coming out together, as a collaboration. Just
Sounds good. Sounds good.
yeah, so this collaboration, man, how do you feel about it first and foremost? Like, what's your thoughts on it?
Honestly, I could not be happier with how it's turned out. I've said to everybody, you're an absolute genius at what you do, and even just for you coming back to the original email, you had said about maybe working on a remix, doing a collaboration, and just even for you to take the time to come back and from what I've sent you over was just an idea, and you've just made it into something absolutely stunning. I can't thank you enough for what you've done.
Well,
I'm absolutely genuinely excited for how it's going to turn out, and I just hope everybody likes it as much as I do.
oh yeah, man. I think it's a lovely tune, man. Like that's how it works with me though. It's like sometimes some things will just resonate with me and I'll just take off on it, and I can just push it to completion. Other times they won't. And that was one of them, like I liked the idea of it. I was able to work with everything on it. I know I kind of like took control, of it all, but that's just kind of like, I'm really like I push stuff to completion.
Yeah, I was absolutely thrilled with how it turned out. I really, really was. First time I heard it, you sent it over, and I was in the car. I just set up in the car, and you get
Yeah.
tears streaming down the face at traffic lights, and people's looking like, what the hell's wrong with him? But I was just absolutely overwhelmed with it.
Yeah, man,
And
it's
for me
awesome.
as well, I've been writing songs for so many years, and
Huh?
more, and yourself, you hit a brick wall all the time. You go, like a great idea, and it just never ever goes anywhere. And you
Yeah.
go, it sits in the back burner for so long. So for it to happen so quickly as well was just absolutely incredible. All credit to you.
Yeah, man, it's what I do. I love to make music and I'm able to push a song until it's done if I want to. That's kind of like the power we develop, as musicians and things we do starting out. Speaking of which, I noticed like you're kind of you said you've been writing music for many years, but I don't are you in the process of putting it all out there now? Is it coming out? Like, are we going to see more?
It's starting to be, yeah. For a long time, obviously, I'm at my fiancée. We're getting married in 4 weeks' time. So there's
Congratulations,
been a lot
bro.
of planning. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of planning going towards that the last few years. Obviously, we've both been working really, really hard as well to get the day we want.
Mm.
We've also, we started a family very young as well. We were 19 when we moved in together, and just a
Wow.
lot of circumstances. You're always working or you're always doing something or spending
Yeah.
time with family. Now
Yeah,
our
for sure.
son's a bit older. It gives me a bit of time now to go back, maybe revisit some stuff I used to do, and just give it a bit more focus, a bit more emphasis again.
Yeah, man.
It's nice. It's nice to just sit down and sit at the piano, just mess about, get a couple of songs on the go, and hopefully get another one finished quite soon.
Yeah, yeah, and just push that tune out. Man, yeah, I think you have like, great songs, like the stuff that we work with together. I thought it was great material. Just I look forward to more, and I'm happy to like be a part of your journey as releasing stuff like kind of out to the world too as well, because that's a big step,
Oh yeah.
from just releasing it inside your own house and with your friends, and then you put it out there on like Spotify or SoundCloud, even YouTube. That's a step, and it's great to like be a part of that, and I want to like encourage that, and it's just, I don't know, man, it's just great. Happy.
It's real, as I say, it's the most genuinely excited I think I've been in a long time when you're writing a song, and sometimes as you said earlier, something just resonates with you,
Yeah.
and I can take this somewhere now, and again to bounce ideas off other people like yourself, and to get that sort of feedback from yourself and a few other people in the community that sort of came back and said, look, they really like that, it's a great
Uh-huh.
tune, they enjoy it, and that's what you want. That's the reward that you go for, is to have other people say, you know what, I like what you do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, really, it's just for the love of music, like it's so lovely to see something come together as an idea and just blossom into like this creation, and then the fact that it could just touch other people with it as well is just like, oh my God, it just blows you away, because it was just a little tiny plant or a little seed, it wasn't anything really, and then you just worked on it and you just kind of built upon it and you grew it and you watered it, and created this amazing, even if it's going to be in your front yard, it's just the fact that you just put this work into it. It's just the fact that it's just amazing.
There we go, visitor.
That's cool. It's cool.
No tile cutting today?
Say what?
They're not cutting tiles today?
Oh, no, 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 not today, not today. Everything's good. That's why this is a better time.
Yeah.
Um, but
So what you then, when did you decide you were going to start just doing it as a full-time pursuit?
when did I start? I officially took the leap last year, and around like end of July last year around this time. So what made me do it was I back in like I think 2015 or 16, maybe one of those years. I wanted to take it serious, like music serious, and so I started like really studying songs and breaking apart, tunes and watching tutorials and just. But I've always been like a big fan of music. I just never took it serious. I just everything I did, I just figured out on my own. But once I took it serious and I started seeing what could happen and started seeing like how how if I just spent just a little bit more time on it, a little bit more time working with it, a little bit more time being with it, and really just keep it as simple as possible for myself. Like I want it to be simple. I didn't want to be complicated because I think I'm a simple person. But when I when I kept working it and I saw what could happen to it, it just is like, this is it. Like this is what fulfills me. This is my fulfillment in life. Like I have to basically steer myself to do this, and become an expert at this in some form or fashion. I don't consider myself one, or I don't even think I'm like that great, considering the other artists, but I'm passionate, you know, and passion is just what drives me. I love it. I love to do it. I like to experiment. I love to like reach out. And melodic progressive house was just the thing that really stuck with me, that I wanted to like explore within myself more. Like what could I give to the melodic progressive house community from me? Even if it's not that great, but maybe there's like two guys that listens to melodic progressive house. I'm like, hey, Zafer, he's cool.
I find that as well, with the genre as well, it's kind of the best of both worlds. I really love trance. I sort of really got into it about 1999 and grew
Mm-hmm.
up with the whole trance era. And always loved melody, good melodies, and just moving on to the sort of melodic progressive house, it's a bit more laid back, it's a bit more accessible for a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
And the community themselves, everybody talks to each other, they all compliment each other, there's
Yeah.
no rivalry, everybody's just, they're in it for the enjoyment of the music, and I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah, exactly. Like 99% of the relationships I've had with other people and artists have all been like really good. I for me from the beginning, I've never really had like just sour relationships with other artists or other like label owners or other people. Like it's always been very good, very friendly. I appreciate that as an artist, because especially when you're new, me starting in the game new, you're pretty like vulnerable, I guess, to
Mhm.
whatever. Like some guy comes your way and he's like, "Yeah, I'll do this for you," whatever. You kind of just want to do it because you're new. But I really never felt that way in any of the tracks I've released through melodic progressive, and I just always wanted to release it myself. That's kind of why I started my label. I wanted to be in charge of the entire ship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everything
And
from the writing right through to the promotion and the getting out there.
yeah.
I say the first time I heard you was a song called Jewel, and it was
Oh yeah.
Lomidelic that remixed it.
Yep.
So that was a couple of years ago there, and you came across, and I loved the melody of it, and I loved what he done with it.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into your music.
Uh huh.
So that was maybe about 2 or 3 years ago now. And then you just every other week now it seems to be a new track from you, another new track, another new track. And every
Yeah.
single time it's just so consistently good as well. You go, well, that's me back to the drawing board again. I'll need to go and start something that sounds as good as that.
Oh,
And again, that's a great inspiration to something to aspire to as well.
yes. Yes. Good. Good. I mean, I honestly don't believe that I'm making anything like spectacular or fantastic, and that's really not my aim. Is like to make this the next best breakout song. It's more like I want to consistently create music that's good because
Mm.
I want everybody else who likes this genre, who's like listening and loves music, and I want them to know like, hey, you could do this as well, really, man, because it's simple, but you can go so deep with it, which
Yeah.
is amazing, especially like the
As you know,
bridge.
I'd say it's a motive as well. And when you've got something, and you said earlier, it just grows into something, and then it keeps building, and it builds, and it builds, and that's what I want to get back to doing as well. So I
Okay.
say I've got a few in the pipeline at the moment, and again, they're just
Hmm.
kind of half finished ideas. Maybe you get an intro, you've got 64 bars, it breaks down. You're not
Hmm.
sure where the breakdown's going to go and where it's going to build back into again. But
Uh-huh.
you can also have fun, and you can come back to it and go, okay, I've not got an idea just now, but I know there's something there. And you leave it for 3 or 4 weeks, you come back and you go, oh, that's all I hate it.
Yeah. Brother, that's the curse, Um I do that, but I do find myself like the more I do it now when I create stuff, man, it's like soon as I know the idea can go somewhere and I'm like able to put like chords to it and things like that, I like save a folder for it, start the whole process of it being a complete track where I'm gonna have to stem this out and I just keep that, I start that process and it really makes it a lot more like bigger of a project for me where it's like this idea is I really thought this idea was good enough that I already started setting up the release stuff for it, so I have to come and finish this.
So you put it in advance because that gives you something to aim to.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It really like gives you like a goal, for
Yeah.
for that tune where it's like, okay, this is going to be a release, so I really want to come back and stick with it, and then it helps me push it through towards the end because everybody gets to that point in their music where it's you kind of get stuck in the middle, where you've got a good, I don't know, verse or chorus, and that's your 16 bar loop.
Yeah, and
And
that's all you ever get from it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's where the
yeah,
trouble really begins, where you're like, uh-oh, okay, where do I go
yeah.
from here? So,
Yeah, I think that's one of the problem I have is because I start with that and you've maybe got everything in the mix there. So you get your drums, you get your bass, your leads, your
mhm,
pads, everything. And then you go, how do I strip that back for an intro? Where do I put it in once it's starting to build up? And sometimes it's just a bit of a frustration.
mhm,
And because for me, it's easy enough to turn it off and walk away and go and do something else.
yeah,
But yeah, if you keep the focus and you just keep at it, you go
yeah,
take 5, go back to it and just really attack it and go for it.
yeah,
And that's it. Just keep focus.
for sure, man. It's amazing what just a little bit of time between the sessions does for you. So rather than busting out a 3 hour session, like you probably get a lot more done setting a timer for like an hour and busting out a session 1 hour, and that's it, you know. And you get somewhere, you do. If you don't, you don't. But I typically find I always get somewhere. You know, like nine
Mhm.
times out of 10, I'll be like, dang, I got really far and my time's up. So I can't wait to come back tomorrow and do more to it, you know.
Yeah, all again.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know.
What about equipment ones? What do you use with synths and drums and things?
Um, so I guess my preferred synth is Harmless from FL Studio. I love the sound design
Yeah.
on that. Like that's one of my favorites. And then Silent One for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Nexus, I like to use Nexus as like a
Yeah,
layering tool.
I absolutely love Nexus.
Yeah, it's just really handy, you know. I'm getting into
I love the
Spire.
pianos on it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love what Nexus is how you can really like I don't know, like you can really stretch out sounds. And that's
Mhm.
so good for mellow prog, you know, like stretching that guitar note for like 7 bars if you can, just in a
Yeah.
way, you know. And I love using Nexus for that. So I would like do like a legato fashion on a note where it goes from like a
Mhm.
C to an E, but it's legato, so it just kind of whips up there with the pitch.
Mhm.
And you put like a delay on it, and just that like C to E legato delaying through the next portion of your track just adds like such texture and that you couldn't really do if you were trying, you know, like that's kind
Mhm.
of how I like Nexus when it does a lot of that for me.
Yeah. What about pads? What do you use when you're making your pads?
Pads are
Mhm.
usually just layers and um like arps, but like when I use a pad, basically I'll try to find the most consistent notes played throughout my chord progression,
Uh-huh.
3 or 4 of them, and then I'll deviate a bit from that, but it's mostly just layering on top of some stereo and some reverb, layering like 2 or 3 dentures, and the ones that have like textures to them. So if you really want your pads to be like super interesting but not too heavy, you just layer but like lightly. So you find something with like a shimmering texture on, or you can create them. Sometimes I create them. Like LFOs for pads is like the godsend. You know, if you're sound designing your pads, you know, like just learning how to do long LFO changes on maybe the harmonics or something with a delay in it, so it kind of bounces it around and um yeah, delays, layering, or not delay, reverb, layering, and stereo. Definitely like stereoing them around is my best
Okay.
advice.
Brilliant. I always find as well when you're writing, I like the pianos. I kind of taught myself how to play, so I can
Hmm.
always come up with really nice sort of piano lines and things. But then underneath it, you really need something solid there to sort of carry it along. And that's always my big issue when it's coming to maybe breaking the track down and just
Hmm.
having that really nice warm pad sound that's still melodic and just carrying the track. And I think that's where my biggest issue has been when writing sort of the mellow prog songs.
Yeah. Oh, okay. One of the tricks I do for making pads is so I like to sound design, but I usually sound design and use presets. So I'm kind of like a hybrid, you know.
Mhm.
But I would like sound design a pluck and harmless, and sound design another pluck layer in Silence, right? Or use one, you know. Then I'll clone that and just take all of the like the attack and all that stuff off of it, so it's just playing, just open, you know. And then you just turn that down, the cutoff down to where it's like beneath it, but and then you can start adding slight tweaks and differences, but it just won't clash, you know. So like if your plucks are like nice, warm, groovy plucks, it's going to be a nice, warm, groovy pad, but just not
Mhm.
plucking, you know.
Right, okay. Yeah.
And you can use that to fill the spaces a little bit. But the more creative you approach it, more interesting. Like, for example, maybe you could, I don't know, grab some like tuned percussion samples, like kalimbas or something, and just draw out beginning of that chord. Then you take that and you run it through like Edison or some sound manipulation part where you can blur it or load it into a reverb, you know, and it'll stretch it out really far and make it very ethereal and ad like. And if you really like that idea and you don't understand it, I can definitely show you what I mean. That's no problem.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's also good advice. It's always good to take that on board. So, music-wise, what were your inspirations growing up?
Oh man, so my music inspirations, man. I had a crazy growing up as far as like inspirations. I didn't even really begin in trance or techno scene at all. I began in hip hop and gospel, because I was like raised in a church family, so I grew up like real religious, and I was raised in their music, but I liked it. And then I eventually, when I got older and got into like creating music, I got into hip hop. So I started, I found FL Studio from a friend. He gave me a bootleg copy of it, and I just love to like figure stuff out on it, and that 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 really began my whole journey. So my influences were like the big samplers and beat makers of the time. So like there was Kanye West, Ninth Wonder. There was all these people, but I used to play this game called StarCraft when online back Brood War back in the day, and I got somehow from playing with the maps and stuff, I got introduced to like techno and trance because it was like the song on it. And I remember the first song I heard that was like that was Paul Oakenfold, and I don't even remember the name of it now, but it was Paul Oakenfold, and then I heard like a Robert Miles Children not long after that, and then that was it. I didn't really hear nothing else. I ended up going on about my life, um, but when I got back into music and got influenced by melodic progressive house, it was definitely Midas, Roald Velden, Axound, Valentin, um, some Alex H. There's more, man, but Shingo Nakamura, that was a big dude. That was a big one for me.
He's got
Anyways,
this really neat sound, doesn't he?
yeah, Dinka.
Like, it's
Oh
just, you
man,
always know what his tracks as soon as you hear it.
yeah,
You just
yeah, it's
get that
so
sound and
good.
that feel to it, isn't it?
Oh man, I love it. And then like, so I got into it, man. I bought like Roald Velden's album, and that was like the first time I bought an album in the scene of like melodic progressive or progressive. It was like really just progressive house at the time. Like
Yeah.
when I heard a Roald Velden track, right? I literally I literally typed in like what genre. I was like, what genre is this or something, and I couldn't find out. And I finally got to the point where it was called progressive house. And I was like, so I type in progressive house on YouTube, and it wasn't this,
It's not the same, is it?
right? It wasn't melodic progressive house. So I had to like really like so I had to like start narrowing this down, and I finally came upon melodic progressive house. I don't even remember how, but I was like, okay, that's just what it's gonna be for me, and I like that, and that's what I'm gonna stick with. And so like those guys making progressive house their style really created melodic progressive house. Like I would totally, attribute them as like pioneers for me, in my world.
Yeah, that's what I came across a lot of the same sort of guys on the Grand Sound. And
Yeah.
again, it would be you'd be working overtime and there'd be nobody else in the office, so you just get YouTube on. And you just again like you just melodic progressive house, up it comes, and you get
Yes.
there's just so many great people,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's so influential, and it just keeps you going. And
Oh man,
uh,
it's so good.
it just there's just something about the music. It's not overly complicated, but in the same way it is, and it just kind of it sort of wraps itself around you. I know it sounds really stupid to say, but it does.
Yeah.
It, it envelops you.
Yeah, man. It like I don't know, man. I think it's like it cleanses your soul. That's really what I
Yeah,
think of it as, and just to be able to take part of that, where I can like be a part of cleansing your soul and be a part of healing you in your way, because melodic progressive house really healed me in a lots of ways, and it really changed just how like I felt about like I've always felt this way, but it just kind of like took that feeling and just blew it up all over me, where it was like, oh my god, we got this, you know, like we definitely got this, you know, and I need to let everybody know, like, we got this. And it's just, I don't know, it's just, and it just brought me like happiness, and I like happy music, and I like making happy music, and I like being bouncy and just, you know what I mean? And Melodic Progressive House was like, this is the perfect fit for what you want to make, this
Yeah.
style, you know, four on the floor, like not, it's not one of those like I'm gonna throw you away with my next melody type thing, but it's just like you just can't help but kind of get warmed up to everything coming together, and it just kind of
It
all.
just smile on your face, doesn't it? It just makes you happy.
Yeah,
I,
it does.
I say, look, the fact that you've got a grown man, 34 years old, with tears in his eyes, sitting in the car because of
Come here,
a
man.
piece of music, it's amazing.
Yeah, I'll be there soon. All right, brother. That's my bro, Chris.
There you
He
go.
plays Apex Legends, and he's a pretty beast on there, you know. So I have to make sure and shout him out, you know. Fly Tropical, you know, he's on Xbox.
So what's your situation then? You're just staying with a couple of flatmates just now?
Say again?
You're just staying with a couple of flatmates just now?
Yeah. I have my own little like trailer in of the house, you know. So this is my room, you know. This is my studio, and this is where all the magic happens at the Cool Breeze for right now. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Um.
So what's the plans for the future for you then?
Say again.
The plans for the future?
Oh, plans for the future. Ooh, good question. Good question. So my plans for the future is I'm gonna get more and more involved with my scene. So this is kind of why I wanted to call you and start all this. So it's definitely gonna be a lot more of just seeing my face around, I guess, because I really want to kind of bring out more attention to the genre, bring out more love, show more love to people, especially the fans. So plans will be just, of course, it's going to be music. So right now, what's set up for the future is I have a free download coming out every Friday for the rest of 2019. But I started this back in like, I don't know, March. So from like March to December, there's going to be a track every week that I made, and it's free to download, but you can support my work on Patreon
Okay.
uh, by, you know, you could support me on Patreon, and you can get like the MIDI files for that track and the stems or the high quality, like the wave version of it, you know, or just perks, you know, just it's just a way to kind of support my journey, but give you something good in return, you know. So that leads me into Patreon, which is I'm also excited about that because I found ways to where I could possibly be delivering like merch to people that support me on there, or you know, like maybe I found a way where I can create CDs now. So I'm going to design some CDs and of like some EPs of songs that maybe people like, that I know people really like, and just send them to certain people, you know. Just I'm really excited. And then working with more and more artists. So this little podcast that I'm starting up is just kind of the beginning of it all, and it's going to evolve and change, you know. But this, talking with you, as like this is your first song on Spotify, is that right?
It will be, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay.
So exciting times for that as
Okay.
well.
And is this your first release like with a label too? Just you're like,
Yeah, well, in the past I had a couple of sort of near misses with them, you know,
yeah.
and I get, you know, you get so far with it, and then you either get the rejections or
Oh yeah.
you don't hear back and
Oh
things. So
yeah.
you know, it's nice after years and years to just, you know, finally say this is it, it's happened, and you know, you make yourself proud, your family's proud of you, and
Yeah.
I say that the community are, you know, very supportive of it as well, which is great.
All right. All right. Well,
I'm just really excited.
that's awesome.
I kind of, you know, just going to the melodic house thing again, is I started doing YouTube mixes called Aspire to Be Anything, which is for a while what I'd called myself. That was my artist Moncrieff.
Uh-huh.
Again, it didn't really go anywhere, but it's just nice to, you know, sit down with maybe 10 songs. Well, I really like that song, I like that song, how can I make them blend together? So I'm still doing that, and I'm
Okay.
hoping in the future to maybe make a bit more presence on YouTube with that. Obviously try and get my songs finished by the end of this year as well.
Yeah, man.
We'll just keep working and trying to get better and better as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's the journey, man. Like we are on this journey and we are in it together, you know. I'm so happy to be a part of your journey into music, you know, being the first released to Spotify, so it's going to be there forever, you know, until you take it, you want it taken down. And that way you can pull it up from anywhere, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere. You can always show that song and it could be like, you know, a presentation of how of like, you know, how an idea that you had became a reality, you know.
Yeah.
You submit the idea to me and I, you know, so that was your idea. You made the right steps, you aligned your universe, you know, the planets were aligned, you sent the message out, I was in the good mood to do it, you know, because that's really what it is. Sometimes a lot of people send me stuff and I just like, I can't do nothing, man. I do try, but you know, so it just worked out for both of us. But you know, this is what.
Yeah, I mean, I think we obviously have the same sort of influences in people and the people we like to listen to, the ideas that we've got, and you know, even just the way we live our lives and things as well. It's you know, it's nice to meet somebody that's like-minded and has got the same sort of enthusiasm. And
yeah, man.
Anyway, obviously you've taken a step further and you've went and you've done it. You know, and that's maybe this time this year you'll quit my job.
I'm doing it, man. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's just working. It's just like working a job, but it's just, you know, it's more fun when it's for something that you love, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm going to end it here, man, because I'm going to run. I've got to go. But before I let you go, man, I just wanted you to shout out your social medias, man. Shout out what's going on. Just a quick shout out to anybody who like they want to see the beginning of Mark, you know, and just anything you want to say, man, go ahead.
Thank you very much. First of all, obviously, I really like to thank you for all your support and influence over the last few months. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you. Hopefully, the stars align again sometime soon. We can maybe do something else together. Also, my family for all their support, all the brilliant artists who have inspired both of us over the progressive house scene. If you want to see more from me, you can go to facebook.com/Mark Moncrieff Music, or Instagram is Mark Moncrieff _ and soundcloud.com/Mark Moncrieff.
All right, man. Well, hey, man, thanks so much for kicking it with the Cool Breeze. And I look forward to our release. The pre-order starts on, it just debuted on SoundCloud. So if you haven't heard it already, check it out on SoundCloud, Frozen Memories, me and Mark. How do you say your last name? I don't want to mess it up.
It's Moncrieff.
Moncrieff. Okay. All right. Me and Moncrieff.
Scottish there.
We're dropping this track, and we're super excited, man. It releases on the 29th of September, so be sure to listen for it, man. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful day, Mark, man. Thank you for being my guest of the day. I appreciate it, man. And much love, brother.
Much love. Thanks very much.
All right.
All right. Good night, mate. See you soon.
Peace. So that concludes the call portion of the podcast, but I just want to send out a personal thank you to everybody who has stayed this long to listen. Thank you for everybody that's being involved. I really want to kind of get out and start supporting and promoting my fellow artists in whatever way I can, and not just artists, but even if you know, just in the scene and you want to, you know, be a part of it as well, you know, there's so much more to come. So keep tuned. Thank you guys so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day. See you on the next episode.